Hi, my name is Eric Maldonado, and for my final project for this class, I really wanted to discuss the issue about loss of cultural identity. And for my public audience, I thought there wouldn't be anybody better to have in attendance than my own mother, who is also has personal experience with this in my life. I think this is an ongoing problem throughout our country, and I think it's more evident than ever throughout our society. We assume something about somebody based on their ethnicity or the color of their skin, and assumptions are bad, especially in today's society. And I think I really wanted to talk about this because of my backstory. Growing up, I grew up in a small town named Stockton, and I was completely immersed in uh, the environment. I'm a Mexican American, and my family is originally from Michoacan. So my grandparents actually have spoken the native language. It's the only language they spoke. And as a young kid, I'm always told when I go back to visit, oh my goodness, you used to speak like so much Spanish when you were younger, and like you have to learn. But it's just simply so difficult as a 20-year-old myself trying to learn a new native language and balancing all these sorts of responsibilities that I have. Of course, I want to, but it's just so time dependent. I think learning it from a young age would have been really beneficial. And when I moved to Los Angeles when I was around 4 years old, I kind of was disengaged from that environment. My mom and we grew up in LA, and I've only known LA primarily for the majority of my life. And it's not her fault, but a lot of my family members do sometimes blame her and say that if sometimes I wouldn't have moved away, would I still be speaking the language? And as I grew up, I started dealing with a lot of assumptions about my identity and the color of my skin. I used to work a job, my first job. I had a couple coworkers who just thought I would, based on the color of my skin, I would be able to speak their native language, and that's just simply not the case. And I know I'm not the only person that goes through this issue because I know a couple of my friends deal with the same thing. Some are Mexican American, but they simply do not speak Spanish. And I think overall, this just draws back to assumptions. And I think cultural identity is such an important part of who I am and my ethnicity as itself. As we see right now going on at the time doing this on Wednesday, there are so many protests going on in downtown LA about the ICE raids and how they're just simply picking up immigrants and deporting them. I think just being proud of my national cultural identity, apologies, is very important to me because at the end of the day, although I don't speak Spanish, although I sometimes don't understand when somebody's speaking to me in my native language, like I'm Mexican American and those are my people. That's my culture. And although that part of me is disengaged, not being able to speak to somebody, and sometimes I do feel like an outsider in my own family because of that, but it's such an ongoing problem throughout the country. I don't think it's necessarily blame to be thrown on somebody, but I think it's such an important topic in ethnic studies because this problem is continuing to grow, and I know I'm simply not the only one. So my audience for this is not only my mom, who has literally seen this adversity throughout my lifetime. I think it's to show awareness to other people out there, maybe that are Mexican American or a different race or something like that. But it's an ongoing problem, and I know I'm not the only one out there. So my audience would be to target them and say, "Hey, you're not alone," and I'm going through the same issues. So I hopefully this video reaches YouTube and to say, be proud of your cultural identity, even though you don't connect in some way or some form. You're still part of that ethnicity. So thank you for listening.